people of the world.
You are watching 100 Degree TV on YouTube. Here is what you missed on the 100 Degree Show with Birch Harris.
So we're talking about the complete healing today, and we want to look at it from the perspective of there is a particular view, there's a particular reality that so many of us, we view life from. We fashion our lives around ideas and concepts that we receive from external forces or external beings, whether it be your teachers, your politicians, whatever spiritual or religious, practices you adhere to. And these are the very things that form and shape our reality, whether that reality is erroneous, whether it's an illusion, it's not necessarily true and real to what life was intended to be. That becomes the lifelong discussion that each individual seemingly has to go through for themselves. We all have to deal with the checks and balances of, what the quality of our lives are and what it is that we're really living for, what we're going after and what we're building. So in the process of this, if we're going after it from a Christ perspective, we're looking at it from a kingdom building perspective. In the process of building, there's a lot of healing, because the building becomes, we're building up our lives. We're building up our reality. We're building up the very things that makes us who we are and mirrors the aspect and the essence of the Most High that we have been created to function in. So when we understand that the sanctification of our souls is an undoing of old ways of doing things, and the reestablishing or reinstitution of new things or old things that we didn't know that we had, or we didn't know that, it was ours, for lack of better words, then we begin to undo and implement new facets of our lives to make us the mighty men of valor, and of course the Proverbs 31 virtuous women. So often the sanctification process is looked at predominantly from a moral perspective and a behavioral perspective. And I want to say that again. Sanctification generally is looked at from a moral perspective and a behavioral perspective. So the things that we do that may deem to be morally upright, the more we have those things in check, or we can show to the world that we have those things in check, it would say that we are spiritually moral, and we're also spiritually mature. And also, when we look at it from the perspective of, well, if that is the reality that we're going after, there's so much that we can do in terms of behavior modification. Not necessarily changing the core or the operating system, but we can modify our behaviors to suit situations and to suit certain types of people that we may be around. We can seemingly become a chameleon. So who are we when the cameras are on, and who are we when the cameras are off? Who am I when the microphone is on, and who am I when the microphone is off? I make no bones about it. I'm a flawed man, and I'm going through my healing. I'm going through my sanctification. And I think the honesty in that is, if I could be forthright and forthcoming with my flaws and the things that I'm being healed from, then it almost should serve as, well, hey, that area right there, that area right there, my mans, that area has a scab on it. But if you go poking around at that, that can start to bleed again. So be cautious. That's how I'm looking at it. It's not totally healed, but it has a scab on it. It's starting to form skin, and but under the surface, it's still very tender. And all you need to do is go playing around with that thing in the wrong way, or not respect that it's still healing, and cause that thing that's being healed to be now injured or wounded again, and you start the process of bleeding and pain all over again. And then you have to go through the reset and the healing all over again, the healing process all over again. So we can look at this from an emotional perspective. Again, so many times, like I said earlier, it's mostly dealt with from a moral perspective. So if I can say the right things and, not look at the wrong things and, all of those kind of things, then that would, to some degree, say that, yeah, I am a morally upright person and I'm a person of righteousness. That's what it would say. But here's the thing that I want to get to. I want to touch on it, and I'm going to try to wrap the show up on it as the Spirit leads. But this is the thing that I'm getting to as it relates to the complete healing. Now, all of the outward showings of healing, right, from the behavior and the morale perspective, the morality perspective, that's one thing. But when the thing that beats in our heart, as it relates to what is needed of us in our role as it relates to the kingdom and what we've been created to do, when that is the thing that hasn't been surrendered or that way of looking at life hasn't been healed, we haven't embraced that. Technically speaking, that's where we enter into our righteousness, our morality, and our behaviors. No matter how pristine it may look, it still becomes filthy rags, because the thing that's beating in our hearts as it relates to the will of the Most High and what we've been created and designed to do, we haven't yet embraced it. So the showing of it says, yeah, that's a great person. They're on point, right? The showing of it. But the being of it, they haven't yet became who they're created to be. They haven't accepted their call. They haven't received and embraced the call. And this becomes the very place where we can say that the Spirit would say, depart from me, or the Most High would say, depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you.
Thank you for watching 100 Degree TV on YouTube. Please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to this channel if you find our content valuable, and be sure to join us for the next presentation.